All right, so we'll just get right into it. So I guess the first topic we're going to talk about is the NBA Cup. Last night's semifinal games went down. OKC beat Houston. Milwaukee beat Atlanta before that. So the finals coming up this week. Milwaukee versus OKC in Vegas. What are your guys' thoughts on the NBA Cup in general? In terms of like, are you interested in this Cup game coming up on Tuesday? Are you interested in the NBA Cup in general as a thing, as a topic for the NBA, or do you feel like it's a unnecessary sideshow?
For myself, personally, I
Huh?
don't have any interest in it. I think last year showed that does it really matter? You look at the two cup finalists last year with LA and Indiana, you're talking about guys, teams that didn't make any noise throughout the remainder of the season. So, I mean, I understand what the NBA is trying to do, trying to bring some interest during the season. I get the logic behind it. But as a fan, I don't read too much into it. But at least this season, with OKC and Milwaukee making the finals, you're talking about two teams preseason that were expected to make a finals run anyways. So at least this year, the finals could potentially bring a bit more excitement probably than it did last year. I understand the premise, but just in general, I really haven't been following it as much as I probably should because it's still just a weird thing to me, having a game during a certain week for the cup. It's just, and a cup that once again does not matter in the grand scheme of things. If you win an NBA cup, what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. So it means something different for every fan, but for me, nah, I can do without. I'm good.
Do it. So okay. I mean, yeah, I get like I'm interested, but mildly interested. Like it's not something like, oh, NBA Cup is on today, I gotta go watch it. Where last year, it was more of something that I was interested in because it was new, it was novel. I want to see what's this whole thing about. But I feel like this year, it's just another game that's on a different court, and I'm not as juiced for it. I'm not as excited for it, but I did have the games on yesterday. I wasn't glued into it. They were kind of in the background, but I did have them on. Now that you're down to the final four, I will be watching the final. I'm not home, but if I'm home, I'm going to put it on. I'm going to see who won it. So it does grab you in from that standpoint. But the tournament from beginning to end, was I locked in on every team, every game, what they were doing? No, I can't say I was.
Yeah. So I think I'm probably maybe in between where you guys are at. So I know Justin, we discussed this last year. I know Justin had no interest in the NBA Cup, whereas I was actually pretty interested in the idea of adding something else because I understand like the whole point is the season. A lot of people for years have been complaining NBA season's too long, right? Starts in October, ends in mid-April before the playoffs start, right? And then before that, people were saying, okay, well, once you get to Christmas or January after the NFL season is done, then it's like that's when people care about the NBA. So if you're Adam Silver and you're the league, you need something to generate interest for the games in November and December. So if you add this NBA Cup around this time, I get it. Like to me, it's like a pretty good idea. Now, did I focus on all the group games? No. So did I know who was in? No. When it's an NBA Cup game, did I already have it scheduled in my own calendar? Like, okay, this is an NBA Cup game that's coming up. No, I didn't. Right, but it is something that when I tune in and I see the different courts and I understand, oh, okay, it's an NBA Cup game. It does feel a little bit different for me personally. So, like yesterday, for example, Milwaukee versus Atlanta. That's not a game personally for me that I'm gonna watch. I'm probably not. Like unless that's unless that happens to be the only game, which yesterday was, or there's some kind of stakes attached, which yesterday there was. I'm probably not watching a random Atlanta versus Milwaukee in December, right? I'm not why would I watch that? So, but the NBA Cup and the fact that it was a semifinal, the fact that okay, whoever wins this moves on, whoever loses is knocked out. It added intrigue for me. And then the same thing with OKC versus Houston. Even though Houston is actually good this year, normally OKC versus Houston, it's a game where if I see it, I see it. If I don't, I don't. But yesterday, I'm like, no, I'm going to watch this because I want to see what happens. I want to see, who's going to advance to face Milwaukee. So I think for me, I understand the point of it. And I feel like I'm probably more in the tank, so to speak, for the NBA when it comes to the NBA Cup because I feel like, yeah, it's something that adds a little bit of interest to these games.
The problem is it's supposed to make the players play hard. That was the purpose of it. Do you think that's happened? Do you think the players are playing harder?
I feel like the players care.
I think they cared yesterday. But from the beginning of this, would you tune in and be like, man, these guys are really going hard for this NBA Cup?
I feel like, yeah, so I feel like the players, the teams who I think probably won their first couple NBA Cup games, I feel like they probably started playing harder because they felt like, okay, maybe we could do this. Maybe we can get to Vegas. Maybe we can get that bonus money. Maybe we could win the cup. But did every team start out hard from the beginning, from the first NBA Cup game? Probably not. They're probably treating it like it's a regular NBA game, which is a problem, which is a larger problem, right? Yeah. For the league, it's a like getting these guys to care about these games is a larger issue. Like this leads into discussing like issues with the All-Star game. It leads into issues with their contracts. Like there's a whole. It's all related, right?
As when the All-Star game, they're not trying. They don't even want to be there, or they want to be there. They want to take pictures. They want to show off. They want to do all that other stuff. Go to the parties, and then the game starts, and they're like, "Ha ha ha! Let's just joke around, throw the ball around," and it's like, what the hell is that? And it's just the mentality of the player. So they have to bring in a mid-season tournament to motivate these millionaires to play harder, to play consistently aggressive. Like it's I don't know. Like again, I agree with the purpose of it, and I'm not totally against it because yes, I'm gonna watch the final game. I had the Final Four on, but it's like it's just they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot to get players to play and to get players to care.
And is it truly motivational when the NBA Cup, those games are part of the regular season games, right? This isn't an extra set of games that these guys are playing. So if you feel a little bit sore, you're a little bit tired, you're going to rest anyways because it's part of the regular season, especially if you're a team that's looking to, go deep into the playoffs. To me, I don't think those teams in general take it that seriously. I think a team like OKC might take it a bit more seriously just because they're young. They're young, it's something new, but a veteran team like a Denver, I don't really think Denver, took this thing seriously.
Boston took it seriously. Boston did, and they lost. Because I remember at the beginning of the year, the coach said that it'd be great to win everything, right? Win the NBA championship, win the NBA Cup, like just sweep all the awards, right? Which is like your competitors. Like, why wouldn't you want to say we won this championship and we won this championship? And they didn't do it for whatever reason, but they came in with the intention to try to win it, right? And if the Lakers putting up a banner, I think people mocked it, but they might have set a tone now. Like whoever wins this year, they're going to put up a banner as well. Like it's going to become a thing.
Yeah. But if you watch Joe Mazzulla's interviews, that guy says a lot of things. He's a very eccentric guy, so I wouldn't really take his word too seriously. So I mean, once again, I get it, but even just watching it in general, I don't get the sense of urgency from most players that this is something that is super important. Like we all know playoff energy is a different type of NBA basketball, right? And if you could tell me that you see playoff intensity in the NBA Cup, then I'll take your word for it. But until I actually see that, I'm not really buying into this whole premise that this is so important.
Actually, I would say last year the Lakers were playing with that sort of added intensity when they were in the NBA Cup last year. Like when you were watching them play, like it was clear that like LeBron and those guys wanted to win it. Like the way they were playing, they were not playing like it was a regular NBA season game, right?
On the flip side, though, the Lakers might have been playing, but do you think the other teams were playing? I don't think those teams because once again, you got Indiana and LA, the two teams who did nothing afterwards in the finals. Do you feel those other contending teams were giving their all? Because I feel like they just mailed it in. They really didn't care. which is why those teams got to the finals in the first place. It wasn't important to everyone else.
I think they cared because Milwaukee was one of the. I think Milwaukee was the team that lost Indiana last year, and now Milwaukee's in the finals. So Milwaukee cared about it, right? I can't remember who it was that said it yesterday. If it was Giannis or if it wouldn't have been Lillard because he wasn't. He was Lillard there last year. I don't remember, but
he was.
He was there last year, so it might have been Lillard. But somebody said it where they had lost last year, right? And they were coming back this time to get to the final, to get to the cup game. So I feel like some of these guys, they care, right?
They want the money too, right? They want the money.
They want the bragging rights, right? So I don't know. I mean,
how much is the bonus money? How much is the bonus money again? Is it like $100K per player or something? I can't remember.
Something like that. I think it's like extra 500,000. Some of that. No, I could be wrong.
I think if you win an extra 500,000, I think for making the cup it was 200,000 for making the cup final, and then for getting to Vegas, I think it was maybe 100,000. So that's another thing too. The bonus money matters more to the players who
don't play,
the ones impacting the game, right? It's the ones who aren't playing. They're the ones who really care about this bonus money because it's like, yeah, okay, I need that, right? But they're not really the ones who are making an impact. There's guys like Giannis and Dame who are making tens of millions of dollars. So it's like, okay, whatever. This is an extra $200,000. Yeah, I'll take it, but it's not really gonna make a difference in their lives, right?